Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to welcome Mr. Yawar Baig, one of our international guests.
Thank
I guess
you.
the first international guest that's visiting us at ASRI. And I'm going to hand over to Lucky to do the bio and the introduction.
Good morning, everyone. Today our speaker is Mr. Yawar. I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Yep.
The founder and the president of Yawar an associate international speaker, coach, a trainer, and a facilitator specializing in leadership and family business.
Maybe
enabling the critical transition from being person-driven to become a process-driven to create an enduring leadership. Yawar applies his own experience of working both in the family business and global MNC to show business families how to grow yet to stay together. In his words, it's more important, it's more about family than business. He works with prominent family business in India and South Africa in the role of life coach and mentor. His skills of working effectively across boundaries of culture, making Eastern values blend with Western system. In his USP, his personal style reflects openness, competence, and value-based professionalism. He speaks 5 languages. Yawar has designed and implemented intervention in many global organizations based on application of leadership and management, fundamentals in an experimental learning format to enhance knowledge and skills application. Fellows, can you please join me in welcoming Mr. Yawar and Associates?
Thank you very much. This is what?
It's a mic, it's recording.
Oh, is it? Okay. So I must watch what I say. Thank you very much. My name is Yawar Baig. I do not mind being called Yahoo, but that's not but that is not my name. Okay. Let's go forward. I think all that you really need to know or remember is my name. If you go to Google, you get about 10 pages on it. So I am very Googleable, and I'm at your service to answer any questions that you might have now or later. I want to begin with this quote, saying of one of my favorite authors. If you haven't read him, you should, called J. Krishnamurti. I will incidentally give you this presentation. So those of you who are making assiduous notes may continue to do that, but you will still get the presentation anyway, but it might be a good idea to write your own notes as well. J. Krishnamurti is one of the founders of a very famous Hindu philosophy that I have read a lot about in my school and college days. And it's one of his very good sayings. He said, it's not a sign of health to be profoundly adjusted to a sick society. And my submission to you is that I believe that we, globally speaking, are a very sick society. The second quote I want to use is from Mark Twain. He said, the 2 most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. That does not refer to a biological reason. It has to do with your thinking. I want to say to you that we live in a world of contrasts, and I want to draw a kind of framework. I don't know if you've read a book called The World According to Garp. If you haven't, you should read it. This is the world according to me. I believe that the world is a world of contrast which speaks to us in the language of science. But signs are readable only by those who can see. So therefore we need to develop the ability to read the signs. And that's why Neil Gaiman's quote in American Gods, he said, there's none so blind as those who will not listen. Now, what is this world? This world is a world where basic necessities are defined as follows, where 3 billion, roughly half the population of the world, lives on less than 2.5. And when I say tonight, these are figures of UNICEF. children will go to bed hungry every night. Most of us are, at least my age, most of us are trying to fight weight. 22,000 children die every day due to poverty. On this planet, 805 million people do not have enough food to eat. And 750 million of them do not have access to clean drinking water. In most of those majority countries, the people who suffer the most are the women. Both in terms of deprivation as well as the amount of hard work they have to do just to carry a pot of water on their head, sometimes from as far away as 20 kilometers. Whenever I say this, I say to people, I suggest you carry a pot of water on your head for 20 kilometers. Just do that one day in your entire life. But do it. To have an idea of what that woman does every single day of her life. So, question to you, my brothers and sisters, is what is a basic necessity according to you? To a lot of us, it is the latest iPhone 6 or something similar. It is not food and water. Now, what will it take to change the situation? In 1998, the UN estimated that it would take $40 billion. And those of you who think that's a lot of money, it's not. Annually, to offer basic education, clean water, sanitation, reproductive health, basic health and nutrition to every person in every developing country, basically meaning that no children will die due to hunger, nobody will be poor to the extent of not having food to eat, people will have basic access to education, basic access to medical care. Does it sound like a nice thing? 40 billion only. Today, 2016, that would be 58 billion only. And we spend 1.4 trillion on weapons. Then we like to talk about peace. That is the most oxymoronic, idiotic argument that I've ever heard in my life. If you are going to sell weapons, what do you think people are going to do? Kiss those bombs? Hunger kills. The World Food Program says that the poor are hungry and their hunger traps them in poverty. In this country, whenever I talk about this in the West, I say, come to my country to see poverty. In your country, I don't have to say that. You have enough poverty to look at in your own country. Go look at it. See it with your eyes. See it with your heart. Hunger is the number one cause of death in the world, killing more than HIV/AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis combined. We have a lot of work happening in the area of HIV/AIDS, which we should have. We have malaria eradication program, which we should have. We have tuberculosis eradication program, which we should have. But what about hunger? The World Wild Fund for Nature, which used to be called the World Wildlife Fund, it publishes what is called the Living Planet Report, and I like to call it the Dying Planet Report because that's really what it is. They say that the number of wild animals in the world has been halved, 50% less in the last 40 years. And I say that that's only the ones we counted, because we don't even know what's happening. Kruger Park alone lost 850 rhinoceros in 1 year. That's more than 2 a day. They didn't die of broken hearts. ASRI. Where is this boy? Why is that slide looking like that? You're staring at it, is not going to change anything. So therefore, 2 critical requirements from you guys. Be unrealistic and be unreasonable. And why? Because our future depends on it. I'm not being funny. You're most welcome to laugh. I love laughter. But that is a very serious statement. Be very unrealistic and be very unreasonable. And let me tell you 3 stories. about highly unrealistic people and highly unreasonable people. Don't get involved in the politics of the story. I know many people have different views, but I'm talking about the other aspect of the story. There was a man I knew who sat on a rock in a sea for 27 years. And he had a dream. And the dream was to free his country from slavery. What was unrealistic about that dream was the man had that dream when he could not even guarantee his own personal freedom. He was sitting in a prison on a rock. You know the rock, you know the prison, you know the man. Highly unreasonable, highly unrealistic. 27 years. Probably longer than the lifespan of some of the people here. Since I am more than twice that lifespan, I can talk about it. Another man, same country, bought a first class ticket, sat in his seat, had the right ticket, but when the ticket collector came to check the ticket, he threw him out. He physically threw him out of the train. And when that man hit the concrete, a dream was born. And that dream was to free his country from slavery. And that dream also was born when that man could not guarantee his own freedom. I don't know if you know the man. You know the man. You know the country. You know the history. And a third man who was playing football. And when he was playing football, he fell and he broke his spine and he became a paraplegic, paralyzed from his neck downwards. And then he went to Al-ASRI, which is in Egypt, and he qualified in Islamic studies, in Islamic sciences, and he came back to his country and he spent the rest of his life trying to provide relief, education, medical aid, food to the people in his country who were enslaved. And then one day, and during this period, the man was in prison, the man was tortured. It's very easy to torture somebody who's paraplegic. You don't even have to tie them down because they're paralyzed anyway, but they feel the pain. And then one day when the man was 63 years old, after praying the morning prayer, the man was being wheeled out of the masjid when they killed him. But you know something? They didn't kill him with a catapult. They didn't kill him with a slingshot. They didn't kill him with a bow and arrow. They didn't kill him even with a rifle. They had to use 3 Hellfire missiles fired from an Apache helicopter. Question to ask: why does it take 3 Hellfire missiles from an Apache helicopter to kill one old paralyzed man? Answer: because you are trying to kill a dream. And dreams don't die. Dreams do not die. And that dream still lives. That country is still enslaved. But I have absolutely no doubt that a day will come. I may not see it, but you will. A day will come when, inshallah al-musta'an, by the will of the one who created us, that country will also become free. Why? Because somebody is very unreasonable and very unrealistic. And that is what I want to say to you. Be unreasonable and be unrealistic. I want to quote for you from one of my favorite guys, who is a absolutely male chauvinistic sausage. So forget his. Don't worry about his language. Every time, wherever he says man, you say, whoa, become woman. Right? Say, whoa, before the man, become woman. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. And therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So, before I go any further, I'm going to give you an exercise which I want you to do not now, but when you finish with the whole thing. And that is, I am told that you're going into your practical, so maybe it's a good thing for you to think about this. Identify 2 crucial areas in which you would like to make a change. 2 crucial areas in which you would like to make a change. And then do 5 things. Number 1, define what that change is. Define what that arrived state will look like. Define it as beautifully as you can. Feel it, see it, taste it in your mouth. Number 1. Number 2, then ask yourself this question and say, who else does this inspire? Number 3, then be very objective and clear in your mind and say, what are the enablers and what are the inhibitors to make this happen? What are the things, the conditions, the policies, the people, the places which will help you to succeed, and what are the things, the policies, the people, the places, the resources which can prevent you from succeeding? Enablers, inhibitors. Number 4, what resources do you need in order to succeed, and how will you get them? And number 5, by when do you expect to complete that task? No matter how indistinct that date may be in your mind, put some number on that, put some date on that. Alright? Okay, so therefore I want to say to you this. I want to talk to you about what I call the slide of life. You know, if I ask you this question, and maybe you are the right kind of people to ask this question to, what's in your heart? What do you want to do? Quickly give me one word, or maybe one small line answers. Quick. I won't even go right around the room, whoever. What do you want to achieve? Quick.
Revolution.
Eh? Revolution. Alright, great, fantastic. What else? Somebody else. Revolution. Change. Anyone else?
Dismantle capitalism.
Dismantle man. Dismantle capitalism. I incidentally make money out of capitalism. I teach people how to make money, but I hate the bloody system. Yes. Anybody else?
Build character.
Build character. Last one.
Make people happy.
Make people happy. Brilliant. So everyone starts in the same place as an idealist. We start off as idealists. We have this idealism in our hearts. Yes or no?
Yes.
There's this great fire burning in the belly. Yes or no?
Yes.
Brilliant. And then what happens? You come and join an organization. Say, for example, you come and join my organization, and I say to you, you know what, you are the new person on the block. I want you to shadow me for 2 weeks, and I want you to tell me what you think of my style of working. So you have this idealistic heart, and you come to me and you think about me and say, wow, fantastic, great man to work for. He really wants some feedback. So at the end of 2 weeks, you give me this 3-page report, and the report basically says, your style stinks. Right? I mean, you say it nicely, of course, but that's effectively what you're saying. So what happens? I look at the report and I say, yeah. You know, you are a very frank person. Thank you very much. But you will learn. You just came out of college and so forth. You know, so though life is different, world is different. You want to make everybody happy. Yeah, that's true. Nice thought to have in the mind. But you want to have a revolution. Yeah, very nice, good thing. You want to dismantle capitalism. Yeah. Who do you think is paying your salary? But don't worry about it. So, and that report hits the ground. Yes. However, you being you still remain optimistic. Because you believe the only reason the report hit the ground was because there is gravity, otherwise it wouldn't have hit the ground, and you continue with your idealistic thoughts, right? So this continues the optimism. However, this is not the only knock that you will get, and I'm saying this to you very seriously. Do not believe that you are not going to get knocked. You are putting yourself up as a target. What do you think happens to you as a target? Somebody will hit you. They're supposed to hit you. That's why you are a target. So people want to be targets and then they don't want to be hit. That's crazy. So don't be a target then, right? You put yourself up as a target. You say, I want to be hit. Please come and hit me. And then you say, why are you hitting me? So be very clear in your mind. Now this will happen. Knock after knock after knock. And if you allow yourself, then you become what is nicely called a realistic person. Right? Okay. And however, the knocks don't stop. They still continue. So you continue on the slide. Can I have some water, please? And you become now a pessimistic person. You start seeing things this way and that way and so on and so on. You become pessimistic. At about that time, you also acquire advisors. And those are what we call cynics. So the cynic will come to you and he'll sit with you and he'll say, you know what, why do you keep on saying these things? Why you keep getting knocked? This keeps happening. You're still idealistic. I mean, come on, get real. Become like this and so on, so on, so on. But then you say, well, you know what, this man is coming, Mr. Yawar Baig from India, and he's going to come and talk to us about all these idealistic things and so on. No. That is his business. Right? What else is he going to come and tell you? Give up, go home, go to sleep? No. So listen to him. Maybe there's some lunch or pizza or something happening. Eat that, feel happy, let him go home. These comments are funny. So cynical people always get laughs. But cynicism is a cancer that eats you from inside. And if you allow yourself to succumb to that cancer, you hit the bottom of the pit, which is you become indifferent. You say, so what? 22,000 children will die tonight. They will go to bed hungry. You say, so what? That is sad. But what do you want me to do about that? Indifferent. Now, why am I telling you this story? Not because I want to take you to a place which is a hole in the ground, but because I want to remind you of one thing, which is that flame of idealism which you have in your heart today, that revolution thing, that make people happy thing, that dismantle capitalism thing, and so on and so forth, that flame will actually die the day you die. Until that time, that flame will not die. It can be dampened, it can be brought down lower and lower and lower. Depends on you. But when you stand up there and you are idealistic and you speak, then what happens? People will first laugh at you. Then they fight you. Then you win. Right? Why do they laugh at you? Why do they fight you? Very important. Because when they look into your eyes, they are not fighting you. When they look into your eyes, they see the reflection of what they were like one day. And they recognize what they did to themselves. And they don't like that. They do not like that. So they have two choices. One is to bring you down to their level and make you accept that you are unreasonable, you are unrealistic, you are stupid and young, and you are idiotic, and therefore shut up and listen to me. That's one option. The other option is to face the fact that you are real. This is what I did to myself. That's very painful. Very painful. But when they do that, then they are yours. Then they are yours. That is your challenge. That is your challenge. Your challenge is not to get hooked into that, but to remain idealistic. And if the world tells you you are a fool, then you are on the right track. If the world tells you you are insane, you are absolutely on the right track. If the world tells you you will go down in flames, you can't possibly be wrong. 100%. That's my test for myself throughout my life. As long as people keep telling me I'm insane, I know I'm fine. Because it's not the sign of health to be profoundly adjusted to a sick society. But important to remember, you cannot light a fire from a dead lamp. So My message to you, and you can forget the rest of my presentation, never allow that fire in your heart to die. Alright? If you thought that was over, it's not. I want to remind you and myself that change is a process, and I'm going to give you a total of 13 tools, which begins with this. Change is a process. Change is not an event, right? Change is a process. It begins with a concept, so you must be conceptually clear, and that's why I said, what is it that you want to actually achieve? Define that. That concept must be converted into a pilot project, which we call the proof of concept. How do I know this thing will work? Because people need some kind of evidence. I mean, some people will take your word for it, some people will take you on faith, but most people need to see some proof. So therefore, proof of concept, which is a pilot, and then is the rollout. Now, each of them is a challenge. The concept creation is a challenge. Converting that concept into a pilot that demonstrates your theory, the fact that it works, is a challenge. And then the rollout is a challenge of magnitude. What worked in this room, we got to make that work in the whole world. Very different level of magnitude. But global change comes only when you go through this entire process. So, 6 imperatives. Number 1, redefine greatness. Number 2, redefine the narrative. Number 3, include the majority in the narrative. Number 4, redefine wealth. Number 5, do all of that within the boundaries of the law. Revolution within the boundaries of the law. That's the most oxymoronic statement that I've ever heard and ever made. And number 6 is take people with you. So number 1, redefine greatness. Ask yourself this question. Many of you would have read history, right? Why do you say Alexander the Great? What makes Alexander great? Do you get the point do you get the point I'm making? We have to redefine our thinking. You have Alexander, who we call the Great. You have Julius Caesar, who came after him, who conquered double the territory that he did, and when he conquered Gaul, he made a famous statement. He killed 1 million Gauls, and he said today was a good day. Twice the territory. We have the Muslim empire, the Banu Umayyah and the Banu Abbas together. Banu Umayyah did most of the conquests, which was roughly 2.5 times the Roman Empire, which is almost 4 times the size of Alexander's empire. Alexander was roughly about 1 million square miles. The Roman Empire at its peak was about 2.4. The Muslim Empire, I'm talking about the Arab Empire, I'm not talking about the Mughal Empire in India, I'm talking about the Arabs. That was roughly about 5.5 million square miles. And if you think that was a lot of land to rule, then came in the 12th century Genghis Khan, who ruled totally about 13 million square miles, which is incidentally the largest empire ever ruled in the history of mankind by one man alone. What is common to all of them? Killing, rape, plunder, murder, misappropriation of other people's lands. No matter what kind of spin you want to give that, that is what happened, whether we like it or not. You had in Africa one of the most famous conquerors, the Zulu king, Shaka. Shaka, the Zulus used to call it eat up. They ate up the Shangan, they ate up the Koza, they ate up the Venda, they ate up everybody else. Redefine greatness. When you say somebody is great, what are you talking about? Number 2, what should that redefinition be? From conquest of territory, of wealth, and so on and so forth, to social and economic development. How many hungry people did you feed? How many sick people did you bring relief to? How many children did you educate? Where did the money, where did the wealth go? And therefore I'm saying, change your definition of greatness from Alhambra, which we like to talk about Muslim conquest and the greatness of the Muslim kingdoms, Alhambra in Spain, or my grandmother's tomb, which is the Taj Mahal, which quite literally it is because I am Mughal, to the state of the common man and the common woman, which defines greatness. You know where we need to begin? Number 2, redefine the narrative. Today, I don't know about this country, but in my country, business schools, they advertise their greatness. I went to one of the greatest in Ahmedabad, the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, which is an offshoot of Harvard Business School. They define their greatness as the amount of money that their graduates got hired for. So in India they say the guy got hired for, the latest figure was 10 million or 15 million Indian rupees, right? Who hires a fresh out of school MBA for 15 million rupees? No one other than a investment bank. No one has that money and no one has that stupidity combination together. Yeah, you have to be completely crazy. Why would you pay 15 million? The point is the 15 million is not the salary of that man's professor. So how come you hire this guy for 15 million? 1.5 crores. What is that? 15 million, right? So, you look at people, when they talk about Bill Gates, when they talk about Warren Buffett, what do you think they're talking about? Are they talking about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? No. They're talking about his net worth. What is net worth? Amount of money in the bank. Call it whatever way you want, right?
Yeah.
Net worth. How many of us define net worth as character? Net worth as moral values. You know, one of my quotes, I say that what did Islam do? Islam changed the definition of net worth from Abu Lahab to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. No, I always give this business spins to, you got to make sense to people, right? So I say change the definition of net worth from Abu Lahab, who was a big businessman in Mecca, to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, who was known for his character, for his piety, for his, you know what he spent all his money on? He spent all his money on freeing slaves. And almost by definition they were all black people, because that's the people who were enslaved in the Arabian Peninsula, and many of them were women. His father comes to him and he says to him, why are you spending your money freeing these people? Because the ones you free are women, or the ones you free are these black people. They got nobody with them. If you free them, they can't, even if they're grateful to you, they can't do anything for you. They're not helpful. Why do you do that? He said, I do it because of that reason. Because I want Allah to be pleased with me. I don't want Allah to say, well, you know, you freed this guy because he was powerful. No. I want to free people who are completely helpless, who are of no use to me, within quotes. So change the definition of net worth. Dismantle capitalism. Biggest curse of society. I have to find a new line of work, but it doesn't matter. I'm now... And therefore change aspirations. Today if you just go, and I suggest do this as an exercise if you haven't done it already, go to schools, go to colleges, ask these kids, what do you want to have? Almost every single one of them will give you an answer which is completely materialistic. I want to drive a Rolls Royce. I want to drive a Mercedes Benz. I tell people to drive a Rolls Royce, you need to get a driver's license, and you need to get employed by somebody who has a Rolls Royce. You don't need to buy the bloody car, man. You want to drive it, right? I call all these cars net depreciating assets. I'm an MBA, I'm a business consultant, so I think in terms of money, right? So I call these cars a net depreciating asset. A person who's driving a Ferrari, a person who's driving a Rolls Royce, you know what message he's telling you? He is telling you that he has no idea how to deal with finance. Why would you, seriously, why would you put $1 million into a depreciating asset? That is completely stupid. Money must make money. Money must earn things for you. Money must not be put in something which is going down, man. That's crazy. So somebody who's driving a Ferrari is telling you it's stupid. Right? Those of you who are not married and you want to marry a guy with a Ferrari, you're crazy. So I met Ahmed Katrada many years ago, and we had this breakfast meeting. And Ahmed Katrada, there was Feroz Kachalia, there was Ismail Wadi, and my dear brother and elder and boss Ibrahim Patel, and all of us were together. We had breakfast, and we had this whole conversation. After we finished, Ahmed Katrada says to me, "You know what? You are a very peculiar Maulana." But he said, "We need Maulanas like you." So I think maybe you agree. I'm a peculiar Maulana. Anyway, now third one is include the majority. Now, this is an important one. Include the majority in the narrative as participants, not victims. Let me ask you a question. Who is the school for? Students? Children? Who are teachers for? School. I'm saying any school. A school is for who? Pupils, children. Yeah? Who are teachers for? Children. Who are parents interested in? Children. How many schools do you know who have a parent-teacher association? A PTA? You know the schools? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that idiotic? You don't understand my question. Aha. So go and dismantle those parent-teacher associations. They're crazy. You have a school for children, and the children have no say in the matter. What do you call a place? Answer. What do you call a place when you enter the gate is shut and you cannot leave until the gate is open? What do you call a place when even to go to the toilet you need permission? What do you call a place where you cannot talk without permission? What do you call a place where you cannot eat when you are hungry? What do you call a place when you have to eat only when there is the time for the food, whether you're hungry or not? What do you call a place where you cannot play where you want? You can only play in a designated place which is called a game field. What do you call a place like that? Prison! You call it a jail, yes or no? Yes. No, you call it a school. So, focus on the basis of decision making. Our problems in the world are not because of our lack of resources. Our problems in the world are because of bad decision making, which comes from our absence of ethics and morals and values and compassion and justice. And that's why I say possessions add cost, not value. All of those are my quotes. My quotes are in 4 books. 2 have been published, 2 are to be published. Most welcome to take all of them. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much. Water comes to those who drink. Then, redefine wealth. What is the meaning of wealth? What is wealth? Somebody asked me this question. They said, "Can you buy happiness?" I said, "Yes." And then I did a series of Juma lectures on it and so on and so on. You can actually buy happiness. Can money buy happiness? Answer, yes, money can buy happiness. But like anything else, you need to know where to find it. You need to take that money to the right place to find that happiness. You'll find it. Incidentally, it's not in the malls. It's not in the bars. It's not in the discos. You don't know what I've done in my life. And you will never know either. Don't worry. So redefine the means of acquiring wealth. And that's why I say dismantle capitalism. Seriously, I'm not joking. Seriously. We need to do this. Redefine success and the means of achieving it. These 2 important things, that comes from redefining and changing our so-called education system. The problem with our education system is not that it has failed. The problem with our education system is that it is highly successful. It is designed to do what it does. It is designed to create oxymoronic, mindless slaves, and it does that extremely efficiently. So we need to take that education system and give it a decent burial. It does not need to be changed. It needs a funeral. And you need to create a new education system. Seriously, this is a statement that I made last year in London in the Queen Elizabeth Conference Centre. I was speaking at the International Conference on Education in London, and it so happened that this conference centre is directly opposite Westminster Abbey. We had there in that audience, there was the Bishop of Bedford, there was the Archbishop of Liverpool, there was the head of Catholic schools, associations of Catholic schools, education, there was the head of the Jewish schools, and there was the head of the Association of Muslim schools. All of them plus 500 other people. So I said to them, the education system has not failed, it is hugely successful, and it does what it is designed to do very efficiently. I said, in my opinion, you can do one of two things. You can take this education system across the street here to Westminster Abbey and give it a decent Christian burial, or you can go take a left turn, go down the road to St. James Avenue where the masjid is and give it a decent Muslim burial. This is your choice. Between the Christian funeral and a Muslim funeral, do what you want. As long as you put it under the ground, that's it. Create a new education system, because this system will not give you what you want to achieve and what you need to achieve. So I'm broadening the canvas for you. And then redefine the law. Because you need to do all of this within the boundary of the law. And I told you, revolution within the boundary of the law is an idiotic statement. However, we have to make that. So therefore, redefine the law. And what is this new law? Interestingly, nothing happened. I did it. It didn't happen. Nothing happens. Always somebody does it. Azhar, a whole set of my slides has vanished. Not Aslam. Whose computer is this? मेरे पूरे स्लाइड क्या क्या ये पूरे स्लाइड क्या वो ये किधर गया मुझे? This is the one I want. Sabotage रहा है यार उससे चीज़. No, hold on. This screen. What have problem with? All right, I'm going to do something here, which is I'm going to go back a couple of slides. I want to share something else with you before we go further. I just want to share with you some data. I am kind of addicted to data, I think, because numbers don't lie, not usually, and they can be made to lie, but usually they don't. So, some of you may have seen this, but if you haven't seen it, you should see it. Distribution of wealth in the world. 0.7% owns 41% of the assets. Global assets, we're talking about the whole world, right? 0.7% of the world owns 41% of the assets, and 3% of the world, and 68% of the world owns 3% of the assets. So this is the global distribution of wealth, and if that is not impressive enough, here is Oxfam and Forbes. Forbes is the billionaires magazine, their data, which says that 62 people in the world own more assets than 50% of the rest of the world. That's your argument for dismantling of capital. 62 people, not even 65 people, not even 100 people, 62 people own more assets than 50% of the global population. So 62 people own more assets than 3 billion people put together. Is that justice? Aha. That's why we say that this is a highly unfunny cartoon. We say it's interesting, the gap between the rich and the poor is not as great as we thought. So what to do? Become entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurship is not about business. It's about the willingness to take responsibility for your own life. And that's why I said be unrealistic and be unreasonable. Now, I'm going to jump that and go to. Just wanted to share those with you. Redefine wealth and redefine the law. All right, there we are. Redefine the law because laws are made for the benefit of those in power, and that's the reality. David and Goliath. There's a lecture of mine called the Rules, 6 Rules of David. How to win when you have no power. So look up that. Go to the YouTube channel. I'll give you the channel. Look up that lecture. The rules are made by people who make the rules to win. So if you define yourself by the rules, you've already lost. So you have to remake those rules, right? And then take people with you, because don't imagine that you will be welcomed with open arms. You will not. So you need to do. You need to know how to hook into this FM station that everyone listens to. It's called WIIFM. Do you know what that is? What's in it for me? So you have to translate whatever you want to achieve in terms of the others and say what's in it for them. If you can translate that for them, then you will get support. Because it's not about you, it's about them. Is it clear? No problem. You were trying to throw that at me. You did not succeed. People are throwing things at me, so something must be going right. So what to do now as individuals? 7 things that you need to. I call this my 7 checkpoints: passion, skill, justice, focus, responsibility, metrics, and quality. First of them, passion. Define what is passion. It's very, very important to define what is passion. And then do only that which you are passionate about. Do not do anything else. If you are not passionate about something, do yourself a favor, go find whatever you're passionate about, leave this thing. Because you will never do it well unless you're passionate about it. Right? And my quote on that is, if it can't make you cry, it can't make you work. It must touch your heart. And the sign of touching your heart is tears in the eyes. If that doesn't happen, tears in the eyes are not a sign of weakness, believe me. They are a sign of passion, it's a sign of deep belief, it's a sign of the fact that this is your purpose in life. Recognition of that purpose. Number 2, skill. Passion is not a substitute for skill. If you say, I'm passionate about flying, I say, fantastic. Do you have a pilot's license? No. Do you intend to get a pilot's license? No. Then I will say, you're passionate about seeing other people fly. You're not passionate. So passion is not a substitute for skill. So develop the skill. There's a book called Outliers, which is, you must read it if you haven't read it. And he talks about the 10,000 hour rule, right? Believe me, that 10,000 hour rule is so true, it's not funny. It's very, 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 very true. And along with that book is another one called The Myth of Talent. Or Talent is Overrated. It's called the Talent is Overrated. And that guy talks about a concept which is called thoughtful practice. He gives the example of how most of us do exercise, or he talks about golf. So he says, hitting 100 balls. He said that is not the idea. The idea is to do that thoughtfully, and he said do it under the guidance of a coach, because he'll tell you exactly how to do that. So apply this to everything else in life. So 10,000 hour rule plus thoughtful practice gives you expertise. So and why do you need passion? Because you cannot do something for 10,000 hours unless you're passionate about it. You're not going to do that for the money. Believe me, no one can pay you enough to make you work that kind of hours unless you're passionate about it. It's not about money. Money will come. Money is the natural outcome of good work. You cannot help but make money. Money is like water. It flows down the slope. What you need to do is walk up the slope. As long as you're walking up the slope, money will come to you. If you're going down the slope, money goes away from you. It's like water. Rain falls, but the water always goes down the slope. Yes or no? So if you want water to come to you, go up the slope, water has to come. Unless you're passionate, you will not do that 10,000 hours. Unless you do the 10,000 hours, you're not expertise. Unless you're an expert, you're no good. So very, very important skill. Number 3, justice. Do what is just even if you don't like it. That is the tough one. Everyone likes to do what they like to do. So I will stand up for justice for those causes which I believe in because I believe in them. But what about justice from somebody else's perspective? Very simple example to give you. I might be an atheist. I don't believe in God. Might be, I do believe in God. But I'm saying I might be an atheist. Right? No, because you are recording this. Somebody will take this clip and say, Yawar Baig said he doesn't believe in God. I'm telling you, you need to have antenna on the back of your head. So I might be an atheist. I might say I don't believe in God. But here is a lady, she believes in God. What must I do with her? I must tell you, you're crazy, you're stupid. How can you believe in God? Is that right? No, it's not right. Why? Because she has as much a right to believe in God as I have a right not to believe. You have as much of a right to cover your head and your face and whatever else as I have a right not to do any of that. That is justice. To stand for justice even for things that you do not believe in. That is the meaning of leadership. Stand for justice even if you stand alone. Martin Luther King said, when the truth must be spoken, silence is culpable. Silence is a punishable offense when the truth must be spoken. And that's why Benjamin Disraeli, and this quote incidentally has been ascribed to Benjamin Disraeli, who was the Prime Minister of UK, of England, to Benjamin Franklin, to Voltaire. Whoever said it is a brilliant statement. He said, I disagree with you, but I will defend to the death your right to differ. I don't agree with you. I disagree with you. But I will defend you to be able to disagree. Your contrary point of view, I will fight for it. Even though I don't agree with you. I think this is a very, very important thing especially for leaders. Because you are going to be faced with situations in life where you don't really necessarily believe in what that happens. But if it is justice, you stand for it. So I do not agree with you, but I will defend your right to your position. Because I am defending freedom. What is freedom? Freedom in today's definition is, I am free to do whatever I like and you are free to do whatever I like. Right? I see your eyes rolling. Let me repeat that. I am free to do whatever I like and you are free to do whatever I like. Is that freedom? No. That's slavery. I am free to do whatever I like and you are free to do whatever you like. Obviously, as long as we don't hurt one another. The boundaries of freedom also must be recognized. As the famous quote in English, my freedom ends where your nose begins. So, I'm free to do whatever I want as long as I'm not hurting you. But if I'm doing something which is not hurting you, believe me, I have a right to do that. Just as you have a right to do that. So it's very important to be very clear in your mind with regard to that. That's the whole point of diversity. Number 5 is focus. Focus is the art of ignoring fluff. What is the meaning of focus? If I'm focusing on something, I am focusing out of something else. Yes or no? Very, very important today because there are, especially with social media, you are bombarded with stuff from all over the place. This is happening, that's happening, that's happening. Everything looks like it needs your attention. Everything looks like it needs you to comment. Everything needs like it needs your time. At the end of the day, you will find you have achieved absolutely nothing. So you need to focus on that which you are passionate about, and somebody else is crying, you say, well, go cry somewhere else. This is what I am focusing on. I'm sorry, can't focus on that. Cannot do. I mean, seriously, it sounds heartless, but that is how it has to happen if you want to achieve something. That's why be very clear about your passion, follow that passion, ignore everything else. Keep focused on the real issues and do not get distracted by noise. Right? And very, very important, look for leverage points. Look for leverage. What's the leverage point? You know what's the lever? Right? What's the lever? Somebody. Lever. To lift a weight. Right? What do? Use a crane. No, lever. Now what's important in a lever? If you're using a lever to lift a weight, what is important? To press down? No, obviously, but how?
You put in less energy than you get out.
You get less energy than you get. How? There is a F word there. Nice F word. What's it called? Fulcrum. What must do? Where must the fulcrum be? Close to the Lord, away from the Lord. These guys must be sent out in the field to work in the fields. They are sitting in air-conditioned classrooms learning leadership. Doesn't work. We have to make you do some hard work and sweat out in the field, then you will understand this. Close to the Lord. Fulcrum is the right word. You don't know the answer because you never did it. Ask me. I've dug holes in the ground, so I know what I'm talking about. So, task for you, go work in the fields. Alright? Seriously, how else will you understand the life of people, ordinary people, who you are supposed to lead? You got to go live in that hut. You got to go hold on to the bed because the mosquitoes will carry you away otherwise. Right? Now, fulcrum close to the Lord gives you leverage. Same thing applies in life. Not everything is worth doing. Not everything is worth fighting for. Pick the key issues, apply yourself there, and you will achieve huge results. Instead of that, you focus on the wrong thing, you're going to spend a lot of energy and you will get only this much of result. Doesn't work. So focus on the leverage points. Number 6, responsibility. Tell me, who is responsible for the processed grass situation that the world is in? You know what's processed grass? What is the 4-letter word for processed grass? Starts with S.
Oh, right.
Aha. Alright, I don't want to say all that. I'm sitting here dressed like a Maulana, so I can't use 4-letter words. Who is responsible for this? Tell me, who? Who? We are. Make no mistake. Make absolutely no mistake. We, meaning I and you, are responsible for that situation. And you might say, well, no, what did I do? Well, you did or you didn't, one of the two. We are responsible because we did something, or we are responsible because we did not do something. And by the grace of God, alhamdulillah, you are all here because you want to do something, to change. All power to you. I make dua, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you help from sources that you cannot imagine. But we have to own responsibility. Why must you own responsibility? Because unless you own something, you can't change it. Can you change my haircut? No, because you don't own my hair. You can change your own haircut. Yes or no? Can you change the configuration of this building? No. I don't like this room. Well, don't like it. You want to change the room? Buy the house. You buy the house, you knock down whichever wall you want. But unless you own the thing, you can't change it. And this is true of life. So unless you own a problem and say, I am responsible, this is not exportable. I can't blame the CIA or the Zionists or the Jews or the Americans or the apartheid or the Afrikaner or the Hindu or the Muslim or the black or the white or the green. No. I own this problem. Therefore, I now have the power to change the problem. If I blame somebody else, then that person owns the problem. I have to suffer because I don't own the problem. And that's the reason why it is very important to own responsibility, because then you will look for solutions and not scapegoats. Right? Today, what do you find generally speaking in the world? People hunting for scapegoats. This is wrong with South African economy. Who's responsible? So and so, so and so. Yeah? You thought I was going to name things. No. I didn't grow. My beard didn't get white by being stupid. You get the point I'm saying? We have to own responsibility, because that only when you own the problem is the power to solve it given into your hands. Only when you own the problem is the power to solve it given into your hands. You were just witnessed to a quote being produced. Alright. Number 6, metrics. Numbers do not lie, or at least not usually. Metrics. Measure yourself. Why? Because what you don't measure, you don't know, and what you don't know, you can't influence. So very important to measure yourself. Am I successful? How do I know? What are my metrics? Am I influential? How do I know? What are the metrics? Am I a good person? What are the metrics? Am I a good friend, father, mother, child, whatnot, you name it. What are the metrics? And please understand, the right metrics will give you the right results. Otherwise, the GIGO principle, garbage in, garbage out. So if you say, am I successful? How do I measure that? By the amount of money I have in a bank? That's not success. So you need to be able to define the right metrics. And then you know how you're going. That's why I say you can only fool yourself. You can't fool other people. People know exactly where you stand, exactly what you're doing. But we can very well fool ourselves, and we find a lot of examples of people engaged in fooling themselves and self-congratulating and say, oh, I'm the greatest and I'm the best and blah, 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 blah. Last one, quality. If I tell you that I have a business, I'm producing something, I'm producing these glasses, and I've got a business which is 99% successful, 99% good stuff. Is that a successful business or not a successful business? What do you think? 99% good. Is it good or bad? Hello? 99% good, is it good or bad? It's good? How about I'm now making aircraft engines and you're flying in a plane which is at 35,000 feet, I'm saying 99% good. You know what is 99% good? It is 10,000 mistakes per million. 99% good is one mistake for 100, so 10,000 mistakes per million. 6 sigma is a quality parameter. I teach that. That is 3.4 mistakes per million. And the funny story about that is a true story. Is Motorola, which is a company which started with the guy called Michael Harry, who created this quality standard called 6 sigma. So Motorola gave a beeper contract to a Japanese company, right? Motorola pagers. They gave a pager contract to Japanese company, and they said to them, they were talking to the Japanese. They said, "Look, we are a 6 sigma company, which means 3.4 mistakes per million, nothing more than that, and so on and so on." Now this is Americans talking to Japanese, so whatever communication happened. When the product got delivered, they got this big box and they got a small box. So they opened this small box and they found there were 3 pagers in that. And the big box had the pagers. So they asked the Japanese people, what is this? What is the big box and small box? They said, no, you said you wanted 3 faulty pages. We gave you 3 faulty pages. He said, we don't make faulty stuff. So you got 3.4 mistakes per million, you got no mistake per million, right? So very important. Quality is very, very important. How do you ensure your quality as leaders? Objectively appraise your performance. Yourself. I'm not saying appraisal as in working for somebody, company, doing your own self. Objectively appraise performance. We do what is called a 360-degree appraisal, which is everyone in your circle. Your friends, your customers, your suppliers, your teachers, your students, whoever is in your circle is asked to appraise you on certain set of parameters, and then they also asked to write whatever they like about you, and then all this information is compiled together without the names, and it is given back to you and say, this is what your constituents say about you. Right? Very important to do that kind of a thing. Objectively appraise performance and reduce the number of mistakes. So that's the way you get to best, which is reduce the number of mistakes. All right. Expertise is repeatability. Who's an expert? Who can do the same right thing over and over and over. Anyone gets a hole in one. In golf, a hole in one is a hole in one because it happens only once in a lifetime. Expertise is repeatability. Now why? Because at the end of it, it's about you, not about them. Why must you do all of this? Because you are you. Finally, I want to end with a quote from the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Alam ya'alam bi anna Allah yara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, doesn't he know that Allah is watching? Whether you believe in Allah or not, that's not the point here. The point here is that do you hold yourself responsible to somebody from whom you cannot hide, even if that's yourself. Even if that is yourself. Those are the links. So, most welcome to take that. I'll send you, of course, the presentation, which will come to you as soon as Azhar can get it up. It was a great pleasure to spend this time with you, and I owe to you.
On behalf of ASRI and our fellows, we are sincerely grateful for your presence, and thank you so much for sharing with us words of wisdom and leadership skills. As fellows, we have learned a lot today from you. I think we can have the whole day with you. Can you please join me, fellows, in saying thank you for sharing?